Hey everybody, and welcome to this weekly update with myself, Sarah Lean. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I had planned actually to go and do a walk outside and show you the gorgeous weather that we're currently having in Scotland, because believe it or not, it is blue skies, the sun is shining, we're probably reaching about 25, 26 Celsius, so it's glorious. Definitely don't want to be inside, but there's a couple of reasons I'm inside. So firstly, I think everybody outside, all my neighbours, all the local builders are doing construction, making noise, so I didn't think it would be great to have lawnmowers, and I think the bins are actually being collected right now as well outside as ambient noise on this video. And I actually got a new tattoo last weekend, so I've got a new tattoo on my leg, and it's currently at that lovely stage where it's starting to itch and everything is annoying it. So actually going out walking and putting my shorts on or trousers on is actually irritating it. So I've decided just to sit here in the quiet of my house and not irritate my new tattoo and do this weekly update. So yeah, we're inside today, so definitely check out my Instagram if you want to see some pictures of Scotland. I definitely will post some pictures up there of the gorgeous weather that we're having, and you'll find other pictures of what I've been up to and things like that. In terms of this week's news, there are some bits and pieces that I want to cover off. So the first bit of news I want to talk about is a public preview. Now, this public preview slightly confuses me a little, so if anybody knows more about this, I would love to hear about it. The team have announced that you can now use Azure Policy's guest configuration feature to configure the internal settings inside your machines on Azure and Azure Arc machines. Now, I thought we already had this feature. I thought it was already in public availability, so general availability. I'm starting to think it might be the Azure Arc part that is now in public preview. So like I said, if anybody can clear this up, please do hit me up in the comments and let me know what this bit of news exactly is. But I think it is the fact that you can now start to use Azure Policy and that in-guest configuration settings to configure what's happening inside your virtual machines on Azure Arc enabled machines. I think before it was just on Azure machines. So yeah, definitely something to be looking at, because it is interesting using Azure Policy to control what's happening inside your Azure subscriptions. So things like naming conventions, applying tags, all that kind of good stuff. And using Azure Policy to also configure the in settings or the inside settings of your virtual machines is an important one as well, because it means that you're not having to use different tools and you can use them there. I do believe that Azure Policy, the in-guest settings, allows you to use PowerShell Desired State Configuration, or DSC. So again, if you've been using that on-prem, if that's something you're familiar with, if you're familiar with PowerShell, then being able to use that inside Azure Policy as well is a great one. So yeah, I think this new public preview feature is all about the fact that you can use it with Azure Arc enabled machines as well. So yeah, lots of exciting things coming there. The other thing that I wanted to take note of is something that's coming in 2024, so August 2024, which seems like a long time away, but something you should be aware of. The Azure Site Recovery team are doing away with supportability, and I think there might be other teams that are doing this as well in 2024, about hard coding IPs and hard coding allowed IPs into certain services. So at the moment, if you want to restrict what gets access in or out inside your network, you can hard code IPs into it. And one of those things is Azure Site Recovery. We're now moving away to using service tags. So service tags are ways of identifying types of traffic rather than IP addresses. So I'm sure we've all been in the position where we've hard-coded or whitelisted or blacklisted a bunch of IP addresses in our network from a certain service. I know I used to do this quite a lot from Microsoft 365 for some organisations, and that was forever changing. I constantly had to change that list of IP addresses. You can do that currently within Azure for a lot of your networking, and it is a good way, but it's also very restrictive, like I said, because if it changes quite a bit, you are having to do lots of admin changes. With service tags, what you do is you say that I want to allow all Azure storage traffic into the certain segment of my network, or allow that traffic external. which means that you don't have to look after the IP range. So if Microsoft changed the IP range that the Azure storage services all used, you'd be okay because you've just said Azure storage, you haven't specified IP addresses. So this is something that's trying to go away from the Azure Site Recovery team, and I believe a few other teams might be doing this as well. So hard coding IP addresses for Azure Site Recovery is not going to be supported after 2024. So if you're hard coding IP addresses, start to look at your network, start to maybe potentially look towards service tags or a different methodology of actually securing your network traffic. So definitely one to check out. Hopefully that's all made sense. But hard coding IP addresses, something you shouldn't potentially look at, and you should be looking at service tags is ultimately the short version of that update. Now, the other bit of news is that in public preview, you now have the ability within Azure Virtual Desktop, or AVD, to launch Windows 11 and create Windows 11 machines. Now, I think there's 3 images that are available. I think it's Windows 11 Enterprise, Windows 11 Enterprise multi-session use, and then Windows 11 Enterprise multi-session and Microsoft 365 apps is the 3 images that are available for you. So something to look out for if you're looking to transition to Windows 11, or if you have a lab and you're trying to play with Windows 11 and AVD at the same time. I don't think there's any region restrictions on that, so it should be available for all regions, but again, something to have a look at and see if you can start to use that and what implications that's going to have for your organisation if you want to run Windows 11 for your end users. Now, in terms of other news, there's been news announcements from PayPal here in the UK that they're going to actually allow you to buy and sell and store Bitcoin and cryptocurrency within your PayPal account, which is an interesting one. You still can't use it for purchases, so you still can't pay for something on eBay or Amazon or a third-party product with Bitcoin, but you can use the PayPal account that you have as a wallet for storing that cryptocurrency. I think there's a few other cryptocurrencies that are coming along with Bitcoin as well, but it's an interesting one because I'm not a cryptocurrency person. I had a look at it a few years ago when I worked with a colleague who was very big into cryptocurrency, and I think he convinced a lot of people to buy and invest in some cryptocurrency, but I never did because I'll be honest, a lot of trying to get into that world was quite confusing because you would have to find a wallet that would be able to not only look after UK currency, but also look after the cryptocurrency that you wanted and not have too many transition steps or hoops you had to jump through. And then there was other wallets you had to have for different cryptocurrencies. It was very complicated and I didn't think the risk was worth it, to be honest. So this being able to use PayPal, which, let's face it, a lot of people have PayPal accounts. I have a PayPal account, my husband has one, my mum has one, so it means that it's a bit more accessible if you wanted to dabble in that cryptocurrency world. You don't have to go and find some weird bespoke wallet service that would store your cryptocurrency and allow you to buy and transact with it. So yeah, it sounds like it's a kind of step in the right direction if you wanted to use cryptocurrency, but like I said, the whole world of cryptocurrency is quite volatile and it isn't regulated, so there's a lot of risk involved and you do have to kind of know what you're doing. But being able to use PayPal as that entry level, even if you just wanted to invest, you know, a spare £1 or £2 here or there in it, it is potentially a good thing to have a look at as well. Now, the other bit of news is that Zoom have announced that only 1% of their workforce actually want to go back to the office, I believe. So they're going to be doing a hybrid model where people get the choice of where they want to work, or they'll have a kind of set routine of so many days in the office. And I think this is starting to see a lot of companies do this. I know at Microsoft, we are still very much in a holding pattern as far as we're aware of working from home. There is the option to go into the office if you wish, if you need to, on special occasions and things like that. I'm 100% remote, so I've been 100% remote since I started at Microsoft about 3 years ago now. So going to the office was always a treat, or I went there because I had to pick up something, or I had to drop off something, or I was meeting someone. So it was never something that I did on a regular basis or had a regular cadence for. So I'm not entirely sure what our regulations are, and I'm not desperate to get back into the office in that terms at the moment, but it's interesting to see lots of companies announcing what they're going to do because of what their employees want to do and feel comfortable with. So it's interesting definitely to see that, and I think other companies are starting to follow this hybrid mode of working, where you have the flexibility to work from home if you want, if you feel comfortable, or if you want to go into the office, or you can. So definitely, this pandemic has definitely changed how we all work, hopefully for the good. I don't know. Please do let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on hybrid working, if you want to be remote or if you want to be 100% back in the office. It'd be interesting to hear what everybody's thoughts are and where everybody is, because I think at the moment across the world and across the UK, restrictions are very different. Infection rates of COVID are very different. Vaccination, levels are very different as well. Lots of different things to consider before you maybe potentially go back into the office and start working like we used to do a few years ago. So I'd love to hear what everybody else's thoughts are and where everybody else is on that kind of roadmap of getting back to normal in inverted quotes. But yeah, that's me for this weekly update. As I say, the weather is gorgeous here in Scotland, so I'm going to try and enjoy some of it this evening and over the weekend as well. So yeah, thank you for everybody for tuning in, and I'll hopefully catch you in my next weekly update.